Why can you thank Shakespeare for your bedroom?
And what dog has the highest IQ?
Answers to those and other questions coming up in this episode of The Off-Ramp with Bob
And Marcia
Smith. Welcome to The Off-Ramp, a chance to slow down, steer clear of crazy, take a side road to sanity, and enjoy some information in the form of trivia. Well, Marcia, why can you thank Shakespeare for your bedroom?
Can you be a little more specific?
Okay, how about it this way? Why can we say that Shakespeare invented your bedroom?
Well, that's even more preposterous.
I don't think it is.
Okay, all right. Tell me.
Okay, Shakespeare invented the word bedroom.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Oh.
They cannot find a use for that word before the plays of Shakespeare. And it's not the only one. He invented a number of other words, too. But bedroom, it was not called a bedroom before
Maybe
that.
it was the bed chamber, the haystack,
The
whatever.
haystack. That's exactly what it was.
You
It
hit
was-
the hay? That's
Yeah, it was
you
a
wonder where the
haystack.
origin
Yeah.
of that phrase.
That's right. Yeah,
Okay.
you got it. But these are some of the other words or neologisms that Shakespeare also invented. Amaze, excellent, fitful. I can see how that is a full of fit, fitful. Radiance, summit, and majestic.
Very cool.
So there you go. All new words Shakespeare invented. All new 500 years ago.
Yeah. Okay. So, Bob, what dog has the highest IQ?
The dog that has the highest IQ. I would think it would be something like a German Shepherd or some kind of animal that's used either for hunting or surveillance.
Yes.
Maybe not. I don't know.
German Shepherd is number 3.
Okay.
Number 2 is the poodle.
Really, I always thought the poodles were so flighty, you know?
Yeah.
But very
they're-
smart, though.
Yeah, very smart.
And poodles were bred as hunting dogs by the French.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine
I
that,
know,
isn't it?
yeah.
And the number 1 smartest dog is the sheep herder, the border collie.
No kidding.
Yeah. So how about the dumbest dogs?
The
Bob?
dumbest dog. not ours. The dumbest dog.
No, our dog, the beagle, was number 8.
Yeah, beagles are pretty smart.
No, for dumb, number 8.
They're pretty smart. I know men think with a certain organ, right?
Yeah, and his was his nose.
That's right. He thought with his nose.
Yeah.
What's that? Let's go over here.
yeah,
Let's go over there.
yeah.
Oh, there's something in the middle of the street.
And what's the only thing that could bring him back?
Cheese. Marcia kind of trained Buster, our dog, on
Our beagle.
cheese. Our beagle.
He loved it.
And you could be out there and yell cheese, and he would actually come back.
Yeah.
That was fascinating.
From the middle of the road, which
Yeah.
is where he preferred hanging out.
Okay, go ahead. What is the dumbest dog?
All right. The number 1 dumbest dog is the Afghan hound.
Wow.
And number 2 is the Bajenji. I don't even know what that is. Bajenji.
I think that's a rash that I get every summer.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And number 3, this will kill my neighbor, the bulldog.
Oh, really? The bulldog is not a smart animal.
Apparently, it's a plotter.
That's You know, Marcia, I was recently listening to one of our favorite podcasts, and at one point, a female guest said to the male host, "My Roomba knocked out my Wi-Fi while I was watching Netflix." Now, what that meant was her robotic vacuum cleaner got caught up in the electrical cord of her Wi-Fi unit and shut off her television set. But the podcast host paused for a moment and repeated what she said. "My Roomba knocked out my Wi-Fi while I was watching Netflix." That sentence wouldn't have made sense to anyone 20 years ago.
That is a crazy sentence, isn't it?
Well, that brought to mind how human-like these devices can be and the fact that people are renaming them. And I have some fun names for appliances we'll bring up a little later on in the show.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, we recently had the Grammys, Bob. So who in history has won more Grammys than anybody else?
This is going to be difficult because it's not like the Oscars where we know Walt Disney and Edith Head were big, winners of those statues.
Yeah.
So the Grammys. So who won more Grammys than anyone else? I'm just going to go like Elvis Presley or Bing Crosby or somebody like that.
Wrong. As of the recent Grammys, Beyonce racked up her 28th award.
Wow.
Which tied with Quincy Jones, who also has 28, and they hold the record for living recipients. But the all-time record is 31 figurines, and that went to classical and operatic conductor George Solti.
Oh, Georg Solti. He was with the Chicago Symphony Orchestra.
Yeah, he died in 1997.
Wow.
I think Beyonce is probably going to pass him up in the not-too-distant future. So from opera to rap, the Grammys are changing. How about that?
That's interesting. And who knew in the pop music field that the classical conductor would be the one who got more than anyone else? Wow. Okay. All right. Okay, Marcia, we like word origin questions. So I've got one here for you. Where does the word honcho come from? Honcho.
Isn't that what you called yourself when I first met you?
I was the head honcho when I met you, but I am no longer since I've been married.
I thought it was... No, now you're a little honcho.
That's right. Junior honcho. You're the head honcho.
Okay. Well, I don't know. My first thought is something... It's a word that came out of... Mexico, like hombre, or it's a Hispanic word?
It's not a Hispanic word, but it is from another culture other than American.
Uh-huh.
It is from the Japanese culture.
Really?
And it's a term that means squad leader. So the honcho was the number one guy in a squad of a military formation.
What country?
I said Japan.
I heard you.
Okay.
I just forgot.
That was like a second ago, wasn't it?
Yeah,
a millisecond ago.
Which is retention longer than usual.
That's true. Okay.
Okay. Can you name the oldest restaurant food chain in America?
The restaurant chain in America. Okay, I think that goes back to White Castle hamburgers or somebody like that.
Well, you're right in that that's the oldest fast food burger chain, which started in 1921.
Is it Howard Johnson's?
Nope.
Okay.
The oldest food chain in America goes back to 1919 when the root beer kings Roy Allen and Frank Wright opened a root beer stand in Lodi, California. When they decided to expand, they called it A&W Restaurants, A for Allen and W for Wright.
No kidding. So that's where the A&W
Yeah.
root beer name comes from. I didn't know that. What were their names again? So we have that?
Roy Allen and Frank Wright.
Wow.
It goes back to 1919.
Wow.
Their little root beer stand was so successful, they started franchising it almost immediately and leased it to different entrepreneurs. And
Went all over the country.
And they had to name it, and they came up with A&W.
A&W root beer. Who knew? And I do commercial voiceovers for them once in a while.
I know.
You know, when you say things, sometimes there's always something that comes to mind, a picture in your head. And you know what this one is?
Huh.
It's a picture of the shelf in my older cousin Pete McGuire's room when he was a teenager. And he had brought home one of those mugs. And this was back in the day when...
They were coveted.
Yeah, because you couldn't buy merchandise with the names of companies on it, like McDonald's or anything, or Starbucks. So it was like, wow, Pete stole that. You know, that was the first reaction I had. But also it was like, oh, would I love to have one of those? And he had pennies in it. You know, that was where he put his loose change.
Sounds like my Boy Scout.
Oh, he stole. My cousin is a thief.
They probably gave it to him as a thank you. Yeah, back then, the merchants didn't think of branding themselves with merchandise.
Certainly didn't think of selling their own cups.
Yeah.
Who would buy that stuff?
Yeah,
you know?
well.
Okay, Marcia, I have another question doing with language. Chinese writing, unlike Western writing, is made up of graphic symbols, each representing an idea. Do you have any idea what the symbol for trouble is in Chinese?
Right here in River City. Absolutely not.
Two women living under one roof.
Really?
It's a little diagram. It looks like two women living under one roof. That's trouble.
Oh, that's funny. Oh,
that's at least from the book That's a Fact, Jack by Harry Bright and Jacob Answer. So that's what they say. I have another one here for you. Why does the term chop suey perfectly describe what that food is?
Because the suey's all chopped up.
Well, no, that's not the answer, Marsh. But why would chop suey? What does chop suey mean?
Well, it means to cut into little pieces suey.
No, it does not. No, I'm sorry. That's not the answer,
I
Mrs.
want my
Smith.
suey.
No, in Mandarin, chop suey means odds and ends.
Oh, really?
And it means mixed bits in Cantonese. These are two different types of Chinese. And that's exactly what chop suey is. It usually consists of meat and eggs cooked quickly with vegetables like bean sprouts and cabbage and celery. So it's definitely odds and ends. Now, there are different stories It's believed to have been invented by 19th century Chinese American cooks. Sometimes the story involves an emergency meal pulled together for important people visiting, like Chinese royalty or a politician. Nobody knows for sure. But it could date back much further because dishes with names like tsapchuey, Tsapchuey, appear as early as the 1500s in Chinese literature.
Really?
But it's always meant like a bunch of different things pulled together. Chop suey.
That's like when I emptied the refrigerator and put it all in scrambled eggs.
That's exactly right. It's just like that.
Let's put that in scrambled eggs and see what happens.
You just need to get a sexy name for that.
I think chop suey is pretty cute. I like that. Okay, let's talk duct tape, Bob.
Duct tape. DUCTTAPE. Yes, I'm ready to talk duct tape.
Your state school diploma's showing off here. Okay. All right. Duct tape was created in the early 40s by Johnson & Johnson, but it didn't make much of a splash back then until what happened?
From what I understand, somebody wrote a letter to FDR.
How do you know that?
Well, sorry, but I read that story that I think this lady wrote a letter to FDR and said something like, I know you've got sons in uniform and our sons need to have things secured better or something like that. And so this tape holds everything together.
You got a lot of the story, but not all.
Thank you. Okay.
A little bit of it.
Oh, come on.
A woman named Vest, V-E-S-T, don't ask me, Vest Stout, mother of 2 sons in the Navy, started working in an Illinois munitions plant. She was responsible for packing rifle grenade cartridges and ensuring they were sealed to keep them dry for shipping overseas. She found the tape she had to use was hard to tear open, and just to get it open, you needed a knife or a sharp object.
Wait a minute. It's sounding like I'm really right this time. Okay, go ahead. You're just providing the details.
That's right. She
she
needed a knife or a sharp object to do so. So she suggested duct tape to her employer, who promptly said no. But Mama Bear didn't leave it at that. She had sons in the service, and she didn't want them wasting time under fire trying to open a box that could take a minute or 2 to get the cartridges out.
Yeah.
So she wrote to Roosevelt telling him that boys would be killed in the time it takes to get those cartridges out. And the administration wrote back saying, quote, "It is cooperation of this type that will win this war."
Wow.
Her suggestion was implemented a few weeks later.
Isn't that fascinating? See, sometimes you can break through all this bureaucracy. And there was a lot of bureaucracy in the Roosevelt administration because they started all these different agencies with
they had a ton of it, didn't they?
With alphabet names, but just a letter getting to the right person.
Yeah.
FDR.
So, well, that makes sense. We don't need boys dying trying to get a box open.
This lady has a good idea. Couldn't you just imagine him, everything you see?
Yeah, anyway, that's when duct tape suddenly became hugely popular.
That's fascinating. A great story. All right, see if you know the answer to this. If you looked at Warren Buffett's first income tax return, what clue would tell you this young man is going to be a success?
Well,
Warren Buffett's first income tax return. Now, this was when he was 13.
Okay. Well, there's a clue right there. He probably had an income tax report for his lemonade stand or something.
He was delivering newspapers.
Okay.
So he had a newspaper delivery route. And for his revenue, when he was 13 years old, I don't know why he was filing an income tax return, but maybe his parents were, you should file an income tax return and learn about business, young man. So from his newspaper delivery route, he claimed a $35 deduction for his bicycle. So, isn't that great? So that shows you he's on his way to becoming a businessman.
I love it.
Warren Buffett. Hilarious.
That was, good for him. That is sweet. All right, Bob. We recently talked about the first toothbrushes.
That's right.
But before the first toothbrushes
came the first tooth. Oh, I'm sorry.
Toothpaste was before the toothbrushes.
Okay.
But when and what was the first toothpaste?
They came in the 19th century, the first toothpastes, I believe.
I'm talking about real first toothpaste. What did the ancient people use?
Oh, way back when.
Way back.
Oh, I know the Romans used urine to clean their teeth.
Well, I was getting to that.
Isn't that disgusting?
Yes.
It's just because of the ammonia in it, apparently.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. History's first recorded toothpaste was an Egyptian mixture of ground pumice and strong wine. Ta-da! I like it.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Something you like. We haven't gotten to the other stuff
I'd
yet.
be brushing 3 times a day. But the early Romans brushed their teeth with, as you said, human urine, and also used it as a mouthwash. Actually, urine was an active component in toothpaste and mouthwashes until well into the 18th century.
Wow.
So that, the ammonia it contains gave them a strong cleansing powder.
Just makes you wonder what the breath smelled like, though, doesn't it?
Not minty fresh.
Okay, I have a question. This deals with a famous actor. You remember Bruce Lee? He was in all those karate movies and things, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay, what problem did cameramen have with actor Bruce Lee? What problem did they have?
They had a problem with him? Because, did he move so fast they couldn't keep up with him?
That's it.
Okay.
Yeah, some of his kicks were too fast to be seen by the camera.
I'll be darned.
When he was filming a night scene for Enter the Dragon, he performed a flying kick so fast it couldn't be seen at 24 frames per second.
Wow.
So the filmmakers had to reshoot the sequence at a faster speed and then slow it into slow motion so it wouldn't appear faked. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
But a regular camera running
Yeah.
at 24 frames a second, which you would think would capture almost everything, he was faster than that.
Okay.
All right. Well, I think we should take a break right now.
Okay.
You're listening to The Off-Ramp with...
Bob and Marcia Smith.
That's right. We'll be back in just a moment. Okay, Marcia, we're back with The Off-Ramp, Bob and Marcia Smith. And back when COVID hit, people started spending a lot more time at home. A lot of people started ordering more things, and they were ordering new technologies. And it turns out people were starting to name their technologies because they were like friends, you know? Hey, recently, Erie Insurance asked their policyholders, do you name your robot vacuum or other household items? And 48.3% named their robot vacuum something. Even houseplants are being named. So you want to hear some of the names?
Yeah,
They're,
sure.
They're kind of fun. The number one name is Hazel.
Yeah,
From
the old
that
Hazel
1960
show.
TV show.
Yeah.
Other names include Taz, T-A-Z, Rosie, and that
Yeah.
was the name of the
The,
Jetsons.
Jetsons, yeah.
Robot, maid, right. Alice, and Captain Jack is another name. Okay, maybe the trick to keeping your houseplant alive is naming it.
Yeah.
It won't seem.
Gives it a reason to live.
Some of those names include Sticky and Fern. How about your GPS? You and I named our GPS a long time ago, didn't
Gladys.
we? Gladys, the GPS lady, we called her.
Yeah.
Some names that popped up in the survey included Maggie, Susie, Clementine. The people who named it Clementine said, because you are lost and gone forever. You know the song, oh, my darling, Clementine.
Yeah.
And Wacky Wanda, because it's usually wrong.
Do you notice something about all those names? They're all women.
I noticed that.
Why do people name their GPS?
Because
women?
I think they generally come as a default female voice, but you can change it to male if you want.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I see. Okay.
And then we got a couple of appliances named Joe the Coffee Pot and Poppy the Toaster.
These people are getting in a life. Okay.
That comes from the Erie Insurance Company. It's
All
so
right.
funny. And it's funny because their sales thing at the end says, make an inventory list to be sure all your household friends are accounted for.
That's funny.
All right.
According to the most recent evidence, 2007, who was it that posed for the famous Mona Lisa?
Oh, she is the wife of a nobleman or something like that.
Yeah. According to
Madonna
the most...
is her name, actually.
Yeah, but Dr. Lillian Schwartz of Bell Labs says that Da Vinci painted himself.
What?
She digitized both the self-portrait of the artist and the Mona Lisa, then flipped the self-portrait and merged the two images using a computer, and the two faces superimposed perfectly.
No kidding. So it's an androgynous kind of thing. You can't tell if it's male or female.
Yeah, digitally, that's the most
Wow.
recent thought on
I
who
hadn't
that-
read about that.
Yeah, I thought that was very curious.
Oh, that's funny. And it's almost like his joke on history.
Oh,
isn't it?
yeah, he's how brilliant he was about everything.
Well, I have some interesting food questions for you, Marsh.
Okay.
What are 25% of all vegetables consumed in the United States? 25% of all vegetables consumed in the United States are? French fries.
That's
Okay, that's 25% of all
Wow.
vegetables.
wow.
Again, makes you eat those vegetables
Yeah.
now. All right, what percentage of a Twinkie is air?
I'll say 50%.
68% of a Twinkie is air. Only 32% is made up of, Twinkie stuff, okay?
That lasts for 2,000 years.
Okay, 1 out of every 5 American meals are eaten where?
At a restaurant?
In a car.
In a car.
Yeah, so I thought those were all interesting.
Especially
little...
this last year.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. You've heard the phrase, Robert. He got up on the wrong side of the bed.
Yes, I have.
Which side is that?
That's my side of the bed. Which side is the wrong side of the bed?
It's the left side.
Really?
Yeah. The wrong side is the left side, at least according to ancient Romans. Gosh,
Well, wait a minute, Marsh. Depending on how you look at it, if you're at the foot of the bed, I'm on the right side of the bed.
but if you're laying there...
I know. Okay. All right.
But we're going back again to the ancient Romans, who thought getting out of the left side of the bed was leaving you vulnerable to the influences of the devil all day. And you're right. You can make that either way.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I'd consider it the right side. but-
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Okay. Where does the word lap come from?
You mean lap like...
Like on your lap,
on
like you
your
sitting
lap?
down and you pat your upper legs. You go, that's my lap.
Yeah.
Why is it called a lap?
Because...
Because it comes from the French lappet. That was a long jacket that hangs below the waist. You see any pictures of people from the 17th century, men, for instance, they had these very long jackets they wore, or coats they wore, maybe have a lot of trim, but it would go down almost to their knees. Well, those were called lappets. And that's how we get the name lap. For your upper legs when you sit down, the lappet was the flap of a jacket that rested on your upper legs when you sat down.
Huh.
So long jackets with lappets were in vogue until the early 20th century. But that's where the name lap comes from. It's not an anatomical name. It was the flap that rested on your,
The flap it.
crossing your upper legs. And
Well, thank you for that, Bob. You gave me imagery for the whole day. You ever wonder how the band REO Speedwagon chose its name?
That was taken from a antique car, from one of the early cars, was called the REO Speedwagon, I think. Wasn't that the name of it?
Yes. Who was it?
Well, thank you.
I'm debating whether I to give you a yay or nay.
Oh, okay.
Well, you know who REO or what REO is?
No, I don't know what REO
Well,
is.
good. I got you there. then.
Okay.
Okay.
But that was the name of originally one of the early cars.
Yes.
Okay.
Back in 1915, a fellow named Ransom Eli Olds
Oh, no kidding.
founded the Oldsmobile Company, and his first trucks off the line were dubbed Speedwagons. And I guess he put his initials in front of it, and decades later, a band paid tribute to him.
You know, REO Speedwagon was just a regional band when I was in
Oh, yeah?
college. They would come by and they were always a good band. If they're playing down at the Golden Gauntlet, that was one of the clubs at Southern Illinois University in Carbondale. If they were coming, the REO Speedwagon, everybody would go. But they were like known in Illinois. They were not a national band at that point.
Huh.
So, Ransom Eli Olds. Yep, there was one of the pioneers. Okay, what snack takes its name from prestiole, Latin for little rewards?
Well, is that a Twinkie?
No. This goes back to 610 AD,
Oh, my God.
and it was an Italian monk who gave children things when they learned their prayers. Okay, he gave them strips of baked dough. They were folded to resemble arms crossing the breast. He called them
Tootsie
prestiole.
Rolls?
They eventually became pretzels. That's where the pretzel came
I
from.
love pretzels.
Pretzel name came from prestiole.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
little rewards, and that's what they are, unless you eat too many of them.
or even any. What do they do to me, Bob?
They give you the hiccups.
Yes. If I
Yeah,
have
Marcia gets hiccups from pretzels. I don't get
every
that.
time I have
Twinkies I could get, 68% it's air, but not.
That's just crazy.
It is.
Okay. What's the largest living creature without a backbone?
The largest living creature without a backbone. Maybe the octopus.
Well, you're in the right area.
I'm in the sea. Okay, what is
It's
it?
the giant or colossal squid. It weighs up to 2.5 tons
Jeez.
and grows up to 55 feet long.
But it doesn't have a backbone.
That's right. That's right. Each eye is more than a foot in diameter.
Oh, dear Lord. That's scary to think of, isn't it?
Hence the colossal squid. There you go.
Wow. Okay, I have a science question for you. When a ton of iron rusts, how much will it weigh?
How much? Well,
How much will it weigh?
a ton.
No, it will weigh more than a ton.
Because the rust
Yeah.
adds to it?
Yeah, technically speaking, rust is an additive process. When iron or any other metal oxidizes, it combines with oxygen from the air to make iron oxide, which is rust. And at first, the weight of the metal will increase. Of course, over time, the weight of the iron will decrease because it will erode. But originally, immediately, a ton of iron will weigh more than a ton once it starts rusting.
How much more?
Well, just a small percentage.
Oh, you
This
don't
is
have
one of those technicalities, Marcia.
You don't have the answer. That's
It's
what it is.
1.0001 tons. I don't know.
What famous artist figured out how to determine the age of a tree?
Wow, that's interesting. An artist figured that out.
I would have thought a biologist or a scientist.
I'll go back to Leonardo da Vinci.
And you went back right. My one of my heroes.
No kidding.
Good old Da Vinci. What didn't he do? From conceptualizing everything from helicopters to sanitation systems, the painter, sculptor, architect, and engineer was the first to record that the number of rings in the cross-section of a tree reveals its age. He also discovered that the width between the rings indicated annual moisture in the air.
Oh, okay.
Did you know he could write with one hand and draw with the other at the same time?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
This guy would be annoying to be around, wouldn't he?
You know what his proudest achievement was, though?
What?
His ability to bend iron with his bare hands.
Wow, that's a physical strength.
Yeah.
Holy cow,
So-
I didn't know he was. That's not the image of an artist you
No,
get.
no, I know. Just
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah,
You think
ability.
all the mental stuff would be,
Yeah.
to me, that's much more impressive than
Yeah.
just the physical
yeah.
force.
But it's something he could walk around, show people, and
He-
immediately impress
You know
them.
what? He was a guy.
Yeah.
That's what it was. He could strut around and brag about that.
I'm going to finish up with a quote from Walter Darby Bernard. Okay?
All right.
Most people find facts irritating. Facts interfere with their symptoms of denial.
I love that. That's great.
Yeah.
That's very timely, too.
Yes, I thought so.
Excellent. Well, we hope you've enjoyed our half hour here, and we'll be back next time with more on
The Off-Ramp.
with Bob and Marcia Smith.
Bye-bye.
Bye. The Off-Ramp is produced in association with CPL Radio Online and the Cedarbrook Public Library, Cedarburg, Wisconsin.